It's been a long wait, and now we're going to deal with a long impact. Day by day or hour by hour today, it's been rain, but look at the radar right now. Those heaviest rain bands moving on shore, those green boxes you see that line up east of Mobile Bay, those are flash flood warnings. So now rain is becoming an issue, and the motion of the storm right now, 2 miles an hour. It's drifting to the north at 2 miles an hour. The center of Hurricane Sally, which has maximum wind of 80 miles an hour, it hasn't really strengthened or weakened. Right now, it's about 60 miles due south of Dauphin Island. The hurricane force winds extend out about 40 miles. So the hurricane force winds are not yet to the coastline, but they are going to get there tonight. The rain has already preceded that. The one positive thing so far today is we haven't seen tornadoes, but that still is a possibility moving through this evening and tonight. You'll see the data populate. You'll see it update in just a moment. But right now, if you're north of Interstate 10 or around I-10, Fairhope, you have a northeast wind, 24 miles an hour. In Mobile, northeast at 25. And then along Highway 84, winds there anywhere between 13, 15 miles an hour. All of those are just the beginning. They are all going to increase. Wind gusts right now, Fairhope 45 miles an hour, 47 in Mobile, and 24 in Calvert. All of that also will increase. And I'll show you the updated wind in just a bit. This is what we get. Computer forecast projection, 10 o'clock this evening. Look at Dauphin Island, wind there projected at 67 miles an hour. Now, even though the data did not plot, recently it's been about 45 to 50 miles an hour at Dauphin Island. By 10 this evening, it goes to about 67. This computer projection, one of many, shows the circulation moving toward Mobile Bay, and that means if you're on the east or west side of that center of circulation, as we head toward 1:30 in the morning, Dauphin Island could see steady winds of 80 miles an hour along the Fort Morgan Peninsula. Toward Gulf Shores, 71, 75 miles an hour. That's where the greatest winds are going to be, close to the center. And this particular track sort of mimics Hurricane Ivan 16 years ago tonight, moving across Fort Morgan just west of Gulf Shores. Now, it won't be as strong as Ivan, but that situation does set up that strong south wind east of the center, where you get the storm surge across Baldwin County into the Florida Panhandle. Keep in mind, this could easily go westward, moving across Mobile County the way Hurricane Frederick did. And if it does that, all of this shifts and that storm surge goes northward into Mobile Bay. 7 o'clock in the morning, this one is probably a little fast because right now the system is barely moving, but it could speed up. This shows it moving into northern Baldwin County in red. Tropical storm force winds, Pensacola, winds picking up to 54 miles an hour in the morning, and that's approaching high tide. High tide is roughly 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. So storm surge levels will be increasing quickly towards sunrise. And then during the day, during the midday from 9 in the morning, heading toward noon, early afternoon, you see those tropical storm force winds going inland along I-65 and then slowly diminishing as we move through the afternoon. But still a southerly wind along the coast. So that's a rough projection of what sorts of winds we're looking at. But just remember, you could shift all of that to the west. We just don't know still at this point. Rainfall will keep adding up. As I mentioned, flash flood warnings along I-10 to the east of Mobile Bay. We're going to see an additional foot of rain in that area. North of I-10, you could still see 8, 10, 12 inches, even up to 15 inches in northern Baldwin County. Washington County, just like Greene and George counties, anywhere from 3 to 6, maybe 8 inches of rain. And then Monroe, Conecuh counties, still nearly a foot of rain within the next 2 days. I mentioned the storm surge. Right now, tide levels, storm tide or storm surge levels, 3 to 5 feet across the Florida Panhandle, 4 to 7 feet for Baldwin County, Mobile Bay, and then add on another 1.5 feet potentially for high tide. Based on the uncertainty on where that center goes, hurricane warnings anywhere from Santa Rosa County westward to Harrison County, Mississippi. Winds steady over 75 miles an hour in some parts of those counties. Inland counties, the tropical storm warning means your winds steady over 40 miles an hour. Now, even at this point, less than 18 hours likely from landfall, look at the difference in computer models. Typically at this point, they are all consistent. They are still not. I'll show you the rest of the forecast cone in just a few minutes. We'll pick up where we left off, talking about the threats from Hurricane Sally. The number one threat is rain, and as you just saw with Justin, wind follows that threat. Both of those are increasing right now. It's been a long day of not too much happening unless you're at the beaches. Now you're going to start noticing it, and you'll start noticing that storm surge. This is a live view at Gulf Shores. Obviously, you see the waves, you see the rain being blown by the wind, and what's hard to see is how much water has moved ashore and pretty much set up place on the sand. All of that will increase later tonight because the winds will be picking up out of the south. Now, whether it's Gulf Shores, Pensacola Beach, even Dauphin Island, will go from what looks like low to medium waves now to stronger waves moving farther inland. Each time the water surges in with the south wind, it will stay. When it surges in again, it'll stay at a higher level. It keeps getting higher. So here's the latest radar, 517. This is the radar view out of the radar in Mobile. A couple of things you may notice here. First of all, there's the center of the storm. What you're not seeing is a lot of yellow and red on the other side. It's simply because the radar is shooting through all of this rain trying to get to the other side, and it's like shining a light through fog. It can only go so far. Brightest rain, brightest colors, that's where the heaviest rain is. And right now the center of the storm is the X. Here's the circle indicating the eye wall, and typically the strongest winds are right around that ring, but in this case they're around that ring where you see the yellows and the reds, which are not that far away. The center of the storm, 45 miles from Dauphin Island. It's moving northward at 2 miles an hour, and then study this radar. Number one, see if you could find the center of the storm just looking. You could kind of get close, but number two, tell me what these little things are, these little swirls going around the center. And these are the mysteries of trying to forecast a hurricane or a tropical storm. Obviously, you can see it wobbling a little bit, even though it's barely moving. It's going to begin to move to the north. Current winds, 80 miles an hour. Already, southern Mobile County, Baldwin, Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, flash flood warnings through the evening, likely through the night. Now here's the update on the wind. Steady wind at Dauphin Island, 54 miles an hour. Fairhope, a northeast wind at 29. The winds are gusting at Dauphin Island to 63. This will keep increasing through the evening. Those winds will spread northward, and the wind gusts will also spread to the north. I showed you the computer models. At this point, nowhere near in agreement, which means because it's drifting, it is so hard to figure out where it will eventually go. And that means it is possible it could take a much more eastward drift or still a westward drift. Most likely scenario, Mobile Bay around sunrise, but it could go toward Pascagoula a little bit earlier. It could go toward Pensacola much later, and the winds either way likely to be around 80 miles an hour. There you see what will be left of it, remnants heading through Alabama into North Georgia. Leaving rain, the flood threat for Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and Georgia from a system that will leave over a foot of rain, if not 2 feet of rain near our coastline. You see that in the yellow. What you see in the brighter orange, that's 12 to 18 inches. And then inland and across the Mississippi-Alabama state line, 6 to 12 inches of rain, if not more, into places like Monroe and Conecuh counties. So the storm surge, as I mentioned, highest levels 3 to 5 feet picking up along the coast of the Panhandle. It could be 4 to 7 feet around Dauphin Island, Fort Morgan, Mobile Bay, 3 to 5 feet on the Mississippi coastline. And even though so far we have not seen tornadoes, we still have at least a level 2 out of 5 threat going through tonight, and then into tomorrow. That threat shifts a little bit eastward, but we will still see the possibility of some isolated tornadoes. So I'll leave you with your 7-day tracker, and it shows rain coverage tomorrow 100%. Now that's at midnight, and the rain that we're going to get between now and midnight, it may not be extreme, but in some cases it's going to be 1 inch per hour going through the night. That's why it's going to add up. And then finally, Thursday and Friday, we'll see conditions getting pretty close to what you expect this time of the year. Rain will taper, temperatures will be seasonable, and at least you can look forward to those nights in the upper 60s.